da mi da uđem. Baba roga na vratima raja. Baba roga ne da mi da uđem. Kaže mi da sam bio dao, a ja samo nisam noge prao. Baba roga. U svijetu čistih nogu ostao bez kuće, jer zapon nisam nikad ni kupio ni krao. Baba roga je na kraju priče, popila su vodu, more, pojela se ptice. Vratima pakla. Baba roga ne da mi da uđem. Kaže nisam bio dao, a ja samo nisam noge prao. Kaže da nisam bio dao, a ja samo nisam noge prao. Na to je sunce namignulo i kroz smijeh cijelu zemlju spalilo. Baba je rogove skinula i prdeći pepe otpuhala u nebesku šupljinu. Baba roga na vratima raja. Baba roga ne da mi da uđem. Da nisam bio dao, a ja samo nisam noge prao. Kaže da nisam bio dao, a ja samo nisam noge prao.
And they're really, I mean, if you, oh, you again. Hold on a second. I got a bot here. I gotta go do a ban on. Argle. Ban. You are banned for spam, Wizlubeak. Account created 5 minutes ago. Came here just to spam me. And with folks, I got 41 followers, one about whom is about to go kaput because it's a bot account. I'm not even an affiliate. Come on. Don't spoil my opening. That was just fucking rude. I'm wondering, Beekeeper, I have an adult content warning on my stream for all sorts of shit, including the fact that I cuss like a sailor, especially at shit like this. That's just fucking rude. I ran Baba Roga by Let 3 and was coming in on a nice weird out, and this butthead shows up. That just torques me. Let 3, yeah, let's talk about what we just saw. They went to Eurovision a couple years ago with a song called Mama, which was basically one long diatribe against a Belarusian politician. And their stuff is very political and very Frank Zappa. They do a lot of shit for shock value. 30 years ago, when I was running a internal help desk at a large financial institution, solving IT problems and building up an organization. Yeah, a lot of corporate bullshit that I bought into at that point in my life. Young me was stupid. These guys were getting arrested for performing naked, which made the papers. And then they went to court and they claimed that they were not naked because they all had corks in their assholes. And the judge was not amused by this and didn't find it an acceptable defense and hit them all with a fine, which was probably a fairly big deal for, you know, oddball musicians making a living criticizing bureaucracy, which is basically what we just saw. Excuse me. Well, heard anyway. Baba Roga, and this is kind of important here. Baba Roga is a folklore character from the Balkans who should not be confused with Baba Yaga. They are not the same person. Baba Yaga is the Russian crone witch who rides around in the hut on the chicken legs or flies around in a giant mortar and pestle. Baba Roga is in the Balkans and gets around on foot and has a big horn on her forehead, which is why Baba Roga. It basically means granny with a horn. And she is just sort of the world's worst grandmother. Like, oh my God. Oh, dang it. It is spring. The sinus drainage is in full bloom, and so I'm going to try and hit mute when I need to cough. We'll see what happens there. Lord of mercy. Okay, so yeah, one of the reasons why I'm yattering about this also is to fill space so that the audio will unmute, because Baba Roga is being monetized in at least one region. That song was played off of the Eurovision site, or a link from them over to the Dora site, which is the Croatian national competition. Now, Let 3 did not come in first this year because of Baby Lasagna, and we will talk about Baby Lasagna and Rim Tim Tuggy Dim some other time. I mean, Lord, everybody else is right now. I don't need to add my 2 cents on that particular thing. Baba Roga, however, the song, premise is basically this guy goes to heaven and Baba Roga is at the gate and she won't let him in because he committed this bullshit sin. And he only committed it in order to avoid committing another bullshit sin. He didn't wash his feet because he would have had to steal soap to do it. And so he goes to hell, and Baba Roga is there also, and she won't let him into hell because he only committed one sin and it was bullshit. And that is pretty much the song in a nutshell, right there. Yeah. It's about gatekeeping and about bureaucracy and just, the general bullshit of life. There's something very Frank Zappa about these guys. I'm starting to get into them. Like I said, they do a lot of shit for shock value, but I mean, you look at them. This is a couple of aging queers who are still out there doing it 40 years on. Ah, you know, wish I had that kind of energy. And they're competing in the fucking national competition, and they went to the big show a couple of years ago. Ah, my spouse is slowly getting used to Eurovision. Subwoofer was a bit much for her, and then there was Let 3, and that was a bit much for her. And yeah, she's working on it. We, however, should be working on something else. He should be looking at this. This is Minecraft, and I'm going to be watching my heat really tight. After last week's double overheat, sorry about that, folks. Yeah, I took my laptop out back and put a whole can of air through it, and am looking at this Lenovo IdeaPad at this incredibly tightly engineered slimline laptop with all the tiny screws and thinking about what might be involved in trying to replenish the thermal paste. It may be beyond me. I had to quit doing mail, what some folks call chainmail, a number of years ago, a couple of years ago, because my vision had gotten too poor and I could no longer maintain focus on the tiny steel rings. I was getting lost in the reflections. And I am concerned about my ability just to be able to clearly see what I'm doing. So it may be a bit of a challenge. We'll have to wait and see. Tividelia followed me a minute ago. How you doing? 2 messages. Let's just see users in chat. Yeah. Looks like bot, and maybe an actual person. If there's an actual person out there, welcome. We're going to look at an archaeological dig in Minecraft here. And we are looking at here, this is in Minecraft 1.20.1, which is most of what I'm doing these days. Create suite, including a whole bunch of stuff here. There's a whole rail network. This is the world I've been mucking about in. So let's just go tour the archaeological dig. Fortress Archaeological Preservation and Exploration, Rakato Vinrun, PhD, D. Thumb, Senior Archaeologist. You'll be seeing Dr. V's name here and there. All visitors must stop at the security hut. We go on up the path. And, supply depot. Temporary, short term. There is nothing as permanent as a temporary fix. Thank you to the devs of the electrodynamics mod for reminding me of that old saw, which is so true. That was the ore train going by. We saw it last stream. Okay, sign stuff in and out. You know you're supposed to. I mean, they're already sounding tired here. This is... Story was here. Okay, cool, whatever. Security, all visitors must stop here. Boom. Yeah, you got to sign in on the log. And it's a security log, and then, all exceptions to security policy must be in writing from Dr. Vinron. Oh, hey, there's a notice board. Given the find at Site 4, we are moving it ahead of Site 3, signed Dr. V. Friday night poker party is canceled due to Fred. Cleo, pick up your reagents. They're eating through the box. That's not good. That means the vials are leaking. This is not a good thing. Let's move on. Okay, signage. Floating brewery is currently off limits per Dr. V. We'll talk about that in a minute. Field Team 1's work area. Pretty classic archaeological dig. Trays, brushes, basket of stuff, artifacts being worked on. And oh, Fred, you are on porter duty until further notice. You know what you did. Don't come the innocent with me. Nivry, Field Team 1 lead. And then skip a line, and it's approved by Dr. V. Whatever Fred did, Dr. V is approving Fred being put on porter duty. Fred's going to be schlepping, not doing any artifact work or exploration. Yeah, this is Site 1, and it's been explored a bit, and So as a result, there's been some signage added and some lighting and so forth. And this is a nether fortress that the repurposed structures mod has redone in jungle sort of things with the vines and the logs and the mossy brick, and plunked it into the overworld and buried it. Border area, various signage, This area has been pretty well explored. And, is at this point, that's the Bamboo Express coming in. It'll be stopping here. The Create trains blow a whistle when they approach a platform that they're actually going to make a stop at. Let's move on to further into the site here. And you know what? I'm going to do a thing here. Let's just make it a little more dramatic. See how the lighting works, because I've put some effort into the lighting. Couple more baskets. Those are storage, by the way, like chests. Neat thing to have. Comes from Farmer's Delight. Danger, active magic. Oh, we are heading into, possibly sites 3 and 4, field team 2 straight ahead. Let's see what's going on with the don't. There's an awful lot of don't here. Danger, active magic, and of course, we're going to blow right past the sign and go see, further study banned due to explosions, Dr. Vinron. And there's the floating brewery. Wonder if that's what Fred did. That's a question for some other time. Let us move on down this way. Site 3. Yeah, Site 3 is interesting and all, but field team is pending. They don't have resources right now because they're busy looking into what they found at Site 4. We're going to go back up this way. We are going to poke our nose in here where field team 2 is working. There's a supply locker. Safety policy exceptions require signature by Dr. Vinron. There's a variety of equipment here that you might find at an archaeological dig. Things that you might need. And again, the area has been rendered a bit more safe. There's been wooden slabs filled in here and there. Staging area 1. Oh, this is still gravel hazards. Look up. Yeah, the gravel hazard has had wood put over it to secure it. Here is staging area 2. And then this area of the fortress is still being explored, so we're not going to go poking very far in here. Let's head back this way. Again, the structure that we are currently poking around in was placed by the Repurposed Structures mod. It is a nether fortress redone as using the jungle temple template. It is, I have done a lot of dressing up of it. Let's go on out to Site 4 and see what they found. Site 4, this direction. Follow the path. Stay on the path. Long walk out here. Site 4, field team pending, but we know it's been prioritized, so they're getting the next field team. Got a bit of gravel here. Be careful. Okay, so we go down a natural trench. A little bit of hiking to get out here. Oh. And on down. Oh. I mean, oh, here we go. Oh, that goes up and up. That's going to be an exit. Let's go further down. The fun stuff tends to be down. Oh. We have found our way back over to Site 1, I think. Let's go off this way. Down here. It's kind of following the torches. Well, they found something down here. What they found remains a little bit of a mystery at the moment. Seem to be running across it ourselves. Did we miss something? Oh, look at that. Oh, here we go. Oh my. Warning signs. A little further out might be useful. Yeah, that's a thing. Okay, so that's, yeah. There's our exit sign. We'll follow the exit signs. Okay, so Site 4's got an in crystal floating in in a remapped retextured nether fortress buried out in the jungle. Okay. That's significantly weird. So that brings us to the end of the archaeological dig. We'll swap out worlds here for a moment. And I'm going to flip over to the BRB screen so that you have something to look at beside, while I'm changing out my Minecraft instance. I'm going to be going through possibly a couple of mod packs and stuff this morning. Let's see, what's up next? What's up next is let's go on over to the Energized Power world here, because this has gotten kind of interesting. I've been looking at Railcraft, specifically the Railcraft Reborn mod, which is a minecart-based railway system with a great deal of technical possibility. Like a lot of technical possibility. There's multiple levels of track. There's switching, there's signaling, there's all sorts of stuff that can be done. You know, auto loading, auto unloading. But hang on a second while this is loading. Okay, come on. Here we go. Joining world. Loading terrain. Yeah. Experimental features, beta version, higgledy pop. Okay, make sure that I'm ready to rock here. And then we come back over here. Excuse me. And let's flip it back to the game screen and go into the factory. This is an energized power factory. The building itself, the overhead grid wiring, and the coal engines that are powering it are all original equipment placed by the mod. I was lucky enough to find one of these places. I've been doing rather a lot with it, as I tend to do. So let's just kind of walk outside a second and start from out here because, yeah, you come up and there's this building here. I've added a couple of things, and we'll look at the teleporters in a minute. And we come in, I've removed the push button metal doors from this chamber so that I could zip in and out a little more easily. The charger here is producing energized copper ingot. It's doing it rather slowly. It's a ongoing process, and I've got plenty of copper loaded up in it. And then down below it is a Tom Simple storage hopper and the usual Tom Simple storage cabling and such. The factory has its own storage system for internal use. Among other things, it's the coal bunker. These coal engines and another bank just like them over on the other side of the are producing the electrical power, the forge energy that is running all this equipment. And they are ripping through coal block at a truly terrifying rate. This building has to get bunkered like a steamship. And for those of you who don't know what bunkering is, let me give you a quick little bit of rundown of terminology here. Coal aboard a ship is stored in bunkers rather than fuel tanks. They are fuel bunkers. And so loading coal aboard the ship is called bunkering. And this building has to be bunkered on a regular basis, and I'm about to just go on and do that because it takes vast amounts. If I were doing this in no cheat survival mode, in hardcore mode that so many people love, I would have to have a rail network running out to a mine and some sort of automatic mining going in just to be able to keep up with the demand. This place just devours coal. So, various machinery, yes, we have our own internal network here with terminals in each corner. Hidden cabling, we're actually standing on the cabling here. It just looks like floor. Used a paint kit on it. Crusher does exactly that. We've seen that in other tech mods. This is a powered furnace. It runs really fast. Quite a bit faster. I mean, we're getting better than performance than a blast furnace here, and that's on turning oak log into charcoal. I use a lot of charcoal. Batteries take charcoal. Oh my gosh, do batteries take charcoal? Pulverizer makes things into dust for alloying and combining and so forth. And this is, bear in mind, you look at this is all from the Energized Power mod, which bills itself as being an electricity mod. Well, yeah, it is an electrical power generation mod, but it includes a pretty good sized tech tree and some fun stuff. Like this building. I mean, look at this. I did have to add some extra wiring to bring to route a bit more power over. Some of these machines get a bit hungry. The assembling machines, you can see they're 8.19s instead of 203s. The metal press is currently turning copper plate into copper wire. It's an electrical power mod. You use a huge amounts of copper wire. Transmitting long distance, it is more, it really doesn't matter. It's just a matter of flow rate. There is no resistance in this mod, so you don't lose power over distance. So it doesn't matter if you transmit at high voltage or low voltage. It's just a matter of flow rate. If you've got time for the flow to happen and for power to buffer in battery boxes like you should be doing, and this is the thing with pretty much any tech mod, always buffer, always buffer. I harp on that string a lot, I know, but it's worth repeating. Always buffer, always buffer. There's my buffer. Whole big cube here of barrels with a Tom Simple Storage inventory connector, turning it into one big storage array, and that's what's in it right now. Boom. There's all that stuff. The assembly machines are like auto crafters from Create. You can load up to 4 components and it will make the thing and make lots of the thing. Use these for making some of the higher tech items like the circuits that make the teleporter work and the advanced solar panels that make the very small array around the teleporter possible. There's a lot going on here. Let's move over here. Here we have the Energizer, used for producing energized copper, energized gold, energized crystal matrices, things you need at the high end of the tech tree in order to make the fancy cable here, energized golden cable, which transfers 524 kFe per tick. Yeah. Got to some decent voltage here. Got a battery box here holding 8 MFE, which this thing can still suck dry in a matter of a minute or two. This thing is a 3-barrel furnace that runs as fast as the powered, each one running as fast as the powered furnace we saw earlier. It's basically 3 powered furnaces in one box, in one block. And it sucks up power. I really need it to be, if I do anything further with this world, I'm going to build a higher voltage array and move this thing over to it, because it's just a beast. Crystal growth chamber, it grows amethyst shards for me. It's slow, but it's a steady drip, and we all know how that works. It accumulates. Now we're getting into some Railcraft stuff. Coke oven, we've seen this in other mods. takes coal and cooks it down into coke and creosote. Use the creosote for making railroad ties, the blast furnace, which makes iron into steel and also produces slag, which you use for concrete. The concrete then goes into the stone railway ties, into concrete railway ties, and those are used for the higher grade tracks. These are plant growth chambers from Energized Power. We saw something like them in the immersive engineering mod called a plant creche. Basically, this one doesn't have to be fed water. Doesn't have to be provided with water. It does have to be provided with seed, and I've deliberately let these run out as I didn't need a massive amount of production. But I could very easily just reach over here, grab some carrots, and take these carrots, drop them in, and now this is producing carrots. It will take some time, but it will produce carrots. You know, it's basically, these things, this is a crop duplicator. You feed it bone meal to accelerate it. But it's a crop duplicator. Charger used for charging up batteries and equipment. More coal engines there. The compressor is used to make energized plate and a few other things. You can't just throw energized ingots into a rolling mill. You have to put them into a compressor in order to turn them into plate. Rolling machine here is set up to turn iron into iron plate and copper into copper plate, and we have, well, right now, not in here, but over in the main storage here, I've got a pretty good amount of copper plate. Not really in need of it at the moment. I can produce a lot more fairly quickly. We've seen how these machines operate. I'm not going to demonstrate loading it. The big deal here, this 3-machine station was already set up when I got here. There were sawmills here. I took out the 3 sawmills and replaced them with machines that I actually needed, and then added the Tom storage network in order to collect everything. A couple of extra things there. Pop out here for a second, because this is the teleporter to the, oops, it's supposed to be not in O. Come on. It's supposed to say northwest, not in Q, or whatever the hell it said. And tower teleport. If we look through the trees there, we can see that there is a pillager tower over there. This is a peaceful world, so there are no pillagers. And what we have here is a pre-tuned teleporter. It is solar powered. We're using tier 6 solar panels, each of which is kicking out 1.04 MFE. Massive amount of power coming out of these. Going into the battery box, which then is cabled over to the teleporter. Teleporter, if we hit the correct key, sends us to the linked teleporter over here, where I have a similar array set up, and there's the factory building we were just at. Yeah, this is a short distance teleport. It's this was the original test machine setup. That's a sawmill over there that is put there by immersive structures. My other favorite. Yeah, the repurposed structures gives us things like variations on fortresses and Pillager Towers Immersive Structures gives us a sawmill. And then Energized Power got us the factory over here. Go up and look on the roof. Yeah, let's go do that. Now off this way is a town with a castle, and I've got some stuff built there. And what I'm planning on eventually is running the railway from here, from the town, down to wherever the hell I am. Easier just to, yeah. And then I've got another thing going, because again, immersive structures, which puts in buildings that ought to exist in Minecraft but don't, like the sawmill. You know, it's got a stone cutter in it to make it look like a buzzsaw. Let's go see where this goes. Quite some distance. And it goes out to, well, goes out to a train station. This is an immersive structures railway station. Yes, they've got explosives sitting around. The barrels are all full of TNT and rail. Immersive structures loads up the railway station. A lot of goodies. Should collect this stuff while I'm here, actually, just for safety. Let us not leave TNT lying about. I'll fix that wall in a second. I'm going to have to go outside to get it. Now, is there? Yes, there is, and it's full of stuff too. Okay, cool. All right, and these. This building has storage in a lot of little nooks and crannies, and I love that. It's a nice design. Oh man, did I like just completely? What the hell, dude? There it is. I picked it up. Okay. There we are. And we have a waiting area here. Plant. Potted plant. And then over here we have track already set up and extending well out over the water. That's going to have something put under it, or it's going to go kapop on us. Also, down at the end, let's see. No, it's an optical illusion. Never mind. But yeah, there is a railway station here, courtesy of Immersive Structures. And I'm going to put it to use. Go through and empty these. Again, top tier solar panels. These require two different components going through the assembly machine. Yeah, I have to make advanced solar panels and then use those to make the next stage up, and I forget what it's called. What's that? Reinforced advanced solar cell. Making those requires going to the assembling machine and putting in advanced solar cells, silicon, which you get by cooking down quartz, energized crystal matrices, each of which takes 1 diamond, 1 emerald, 2 amethyst shards, and 1 redstone. Hideously expensive. 4 of them. So and it takes 2 of these to make 1 of those. So we're looking at 8 emeralds per solar panel, plus all the other materials. It's an expensive mod in terms of vanilla resources. Come on, am I not positioned right? There we go. Get back here. Let's look at one more thing here. Watching my heat tachometer, and it seems to be being a bit more friendly today. Come around behind here, where we can see the battery box that is the buffer, and the power feed coming down from the roof, being fed through the energized golden cable. And if we head upstairs, we see how this works. Cable comes up and goes to an HV transformer. This is an N-to-1 transformer, a many-to-1 transformer. Diamonds are input, squares are output. Really simple markings. I like that about this mod. They've made the markings very clear. Now, if you are colorblind, you're probably going to have problems with this, but then, you know, we do what we can. Try to use properly contrasting colors. Hopefully they've done so. We'll see. The HV transformer has 3 energized copper cable arrays feeding into it. Energized copper carrying 131 kFe. Gold is the next stage up. So the 3 solar panel arrays, they're all tier 3 panels, which are a lot cheaper to make. I've used 3 3x3 arrays of tier 3 solar panels, so it's 3x3x3, feeding into an HV transformer, high voltage transformer, that consolidates the power, that collects the power, concentrates. There we go, concentrates. This is a concentrator. And feeds down to the battery box. Now, I could have put a transformer in the hole in order to use it as a pass-through gasket, but I haven't been arsed to do so yet. And, truth be told, I've been too damn busy exploring the functionality of this mod and figuring out how it all works and so forth, because the in-game documentation, while it does exist, is at times a little sketchy, because I mean this is all I get for both the powered furnace and the advanced powered furnace. It's pretty sparse. The compressor compresses ingots into plates. Okay, useful to know. Placement and all. This mod seems to expect that you're somewhat familiar with tech mods and with a lot of the conventions used in tech mods about where you connect the power cable and where you connect the input and the output. It seems to expect me to know the gazintas and gazatas. Sometimes that's not as obvious. Let's go look over here and just, like here. There's no interface control. There's a power meter and a progress meter, and that's about it. It just expects me to sort of figure it out. I mean, it's easy enough. You bring power in at the top. Also, you generally bring it in from the side. You bring components in from the top or sides. Output is at the bottom. It's pretty straightforward. Everything pretty much. These one block machines all generally work kind of like a furnace, like a classic vanilla furnace. You know, drop stuff in the top, get stuff out the bottom. And that pretty much is the Energized Power mod thus far. I have not put in a railway yet in this world. I've been too busy with what was going to be just the electricity mod to provide the electricity I needed to build an electric railway with Railcraft Reborn, and turned out to have its own massive tech tree. And you know I love a good tech tree and and working my way through it. We are coming up to the top of the first hour. I'm going to be switching over to another game world shortly. Let's take a quick peek here. Oh, users in chat and me. Okay, I'm not seeing any that obviously need to be booted, so we're going to go over to the BRB screen so I can switch worlds again. But there. How's everybody's day going? I've been rattling on about this mod and doing the tour of the factory and everything, and have not paused to do a check-in or any of that sort of thing. Let's see, we're going over to that one. By the way, I am using Prism Launcher. I strongly recommend Prism Launcher. It was created because of a bit of a row over the developers' diversity policy. One of the devs went rogue and stole the code base and the whole bit and removed the diversity policy, and the entire community walked away from him, forked the code, set up a new one with a rainbow icon, and said, yeah, we're over here. And nobody even remembers what name the launcher used to have or who this guy was. Just boom. Prism Launcher with its rainbow icon continues to proudly have a cat on the menu. You can click the little cat and get a larger cat playing with the ball of yarn that appears in the window. You cannot pet the cat. This is a real problem. If there is a cat, you should be able to pet the cat. That's a standard that we judge by, you know? Prism Launcher allows me to have multiple instances and mod packs and game worlds and so forth, and keep it all organized. Bounce from one to the next as I feel like it has worked very well for me, and is what has enabled me to do all this mucking about with different mod combinations and such. Now, the world we're going over to right now is one that I set up to check out a particular mod. That would be electrodynamics. Yeah, we're about to get to electrodynamics. I know, I've been talking about electrodynamics on the Fetty for the last week or so and being rather extensive about it. This particular mod has, I think, it's not just one mod. It's the lead mod of a suite with a large active dev team doing some really interesting stuff. Give this just a second to make sure that that's all set up and loaded and ready to rock. Bounce back over to the game screen, and yes, once again, I have hermit crabbed into a woodland mansion. This is a mangrove mansion out in a mangrove swamp. Thank you, repurposed structures. Here we have the mansion, and we have the test farm. We'll get to the test farm in a few minutes. We're going to walk through some basics of electrodynamics. Electrodynamics is the foundational mod of a suite, as I said, and includes a very large amount of stuff, all of its own. You will recognize some of it as being familiar from Buildcraft and other mods. Electrodynamics has carried forward a lot of ideas from classic tech mods that are no longer being developed and brought them forward into the 1.20 world. So pretty standard setup initially with the auto smelters. I haven't bothered to paint the cable because the whole area is, industrial. Let's leave it looking industrial here. I'm not going to try and clean it up. This is a factory that I'm living in now. Coal generator. We've seen those. Feed them coal block. They produce electricity. Electrodynamics has resistance. It has amperage. You have to consider these things. I have to carry around a multimeter and be ready to take a multimeter reading on this cable here, which tells me that it is currently carrying 360 amps at 120 volts and getting 39 ohms of resistance because it's a long copper wire cable. I've had to put generators at each end in order to, and haven't put any machinery in the middle because resistance and power drop over distance is a thing in this mod. Electrodynamics is serious about its tech and about modeling real-world tech in a playable fashion. I'm carrying 3 different kinds of cable here. I've got insulated copper wire. This is just, you refine copper and then you drop your copper into a wire mill and it turns it into wire. You take woolen shears and make insulation and then wrap the insulation onto the wire. So multiple crafting stages, but yeah, not really that difficult. I mean, it's copper and wool, both of which are very plentiful resources, which is good because you're going to use a lot of it. Now, it's important to notice the ampacity. Ampacity is the load maximum of the wire. It's 360. You put any more load on a piece of wire than it can carry, and it will burst into flame. I'm not kidding. I'm not making a joke. The wiring will catch fire from overheating if you put too much load through it. And you'd better take into account your initial load spike. When you bring a new piece of equipment onto a grid, you want to make sure that you've got enough grid capacity to handle that initial surge as the machine's internal power reservoir fills up. The electrodynamics manual goes into some fairly extensive stuff about this, talking about the fundamentals of electricity and how it works and how the color coding works on the machinery. Yeah, the yellow and black machinery is low voltage, blue and black is medium voltage, red and black, you got your high voltage, and then purple is the extreme. Only a couple of extreme items, thankfully, you don't have to deal with too much of that voltage. That gets really hairy. I'm wearing right now a full composite combat suit built in the Electrodynamics mod. You can see the parts of it on the left side of the screen with the heads-up display. Right now the helmet is off. It has a night vision in it. It gives me the night vision effect without the swirlies and lasts for bloody ever because it's a rechargeable helm. The boots have shock absorbers in them and will soak up a massive amount of falling damage. The pants will give me walking and running and jumping bonuses, so on and so forth. The suit does some pretty amazing stuff, but it is not, way OP like the Mechanism Iron Man suit. I mean, Mechanism, I love you. You're a great mod, but the antimatter powered Iron Man suit at the top end is just way OP. Wow. Gold cable, gold wire, and by the way, it's listed as black because that is the default color. You can dye wire in order to keep it from joining up with it, in order to be able to run multiple wires in parallel. We have seen this with pipes and cables in other mods, where we can dye the pipes to keep them from connecting to differently colored pipes and run them next to each other. I just haven't had a need to run multiple wires in parallel. And then there is superconductive wire, which is expensive in terms of research. You have to make superconductive alloy. On the other hand, it's not as difficult as making the top-end stuff in the Energized Power mod, which we were just in. No limit on load, no resistance, but again, the insulation rating only goes up to 240 volts. If you run more than 240 volts through this wire, the insulation will catch fire. Now, there is a way around that. There is ceramic wire. Ceramic wire is rated up to 480 volts. Useful stuff. Will carry up to 480 volts without blowing up. Now, ceramic wire won't, the insulation won't catch fire. The wire itself might, and certainly you run the risk of shorts. Yeah, insulation prevents electricity from shorting, which is a thing in this mod. Overcharge a wire and burn the insulation, and you may get shorting and arcs off to neighboring areas, and next thing you know, your whole damn place is going up in smoke. Why I keep a backup of this game world. Let us just pop up to the machinery room. It's just up on the 3rd floor, but I don't feel like walking through the mansion. This is the MV machinery room. It's all, as you can see, I'm using superconductive wire because I'm not taking any freaking chances on burning down the mansion. And it is mostly chemical furnaces because, as with any heavy technology, a great deal of your metallurgy and materials production is going to be chemical work. I've got these set up to do various things. Bauxite ore gets processed with niter to make aluminum. Titanium dioxide gets processed with salt to make titanium ingots. Over here, chromium oxide getting processed with silica dust to make chromium disilicide, which goes over into a chemical mixer and is combined with ethanol in order to make polyethylene, which is what the crusher here is currently working with. It's dealing with polyethylene fibers and pressing them into polyethylene sheet, and incidentally occasionally extracting a bit of chromium disilicide, which can then be put back over, which is something I'm about to go do here. If I can see, chromium, here it is. 3, 4, 3, 4. Chemical mixer here produces hydraulic fluid, which is needed for the boots. So I'm just going to take this chromium disilicide, drop it in here, and hey presto, the chemical mixer kicks on. Nice little bit of animation there with the mixer vanes going. Electrodynamics is a one-block mod. It is not given to multi-block construction the way some of the immersive mods are. But it does have some nice modeling and animation here. So we've got our chemical vat going, and it's the liquid in it is ethanol. That's the ethanol color and texture. And then it's producing molten polyethylene, which it is then sending over to a chemical crystallizer, which turns it into polyethylene fibers. The polyethylene sheet is then used in making composite, which is a large part of what I'm wearing. Out here we have a solar power array, very carefully constructed. It is superconductive wire. Thank you. I originally built it with gold wire and replaced it as soon as I could. And we have some high voltage machinery. I have an energized alloyer here that makes stainless steel. It's loaded with chromium. If I drop let's show rather than tell. Here is, that's stainless steel. Steel ingot, here we go. And boom. And it makes stainless steel and also throws a bit of slag. It is very quick, yes, and will now be draining through the Tom's hopper for a little while. The solar power array, because I have my game world set to do not do the day-night cycle and be permanently noon, is a nice reliable energy source that I don't have to constantly fuss with and bring more fuel and so forth. Power from it is going through an upgrade transformer. This is an upgrade transformer Mark II, which has the polyethylene safety shell on it. The Mark I's are the first one you're able to build in the game, and it will take a while to get to the point where you have polyethylene technology. Getting to the fermentation and the chemical mixers and enough power to drive it all will take a while. You're gonna need upgrade transformers. Be extremely careful around them. Electrodynamics does include rubber boots. Wear them. Don't step on the transformer anyway. The rubber boots are prone to degrade quickly and are only there as a brief safety. So, we'll have to see how things go there. Stay away from the transformers. Once you have the green shell on it, they are safe to step on. Don't step on the cable. This is a downgrade transformer. This one is a standard one. As you can see, I mean, that is exposed electrical equipment. You know, there is a definite safety hazard here. I was trying to get water brought up here and just not succeeding. I've yet to figure out how to get water source block into the electrodynamics mod equipment. Not really sure how that works. Still trying to figure it out. For right now, I'm using a creative water source because nuts to it. Over here, we have a high voltage room. Let's just look at how this is built because it gets kind of gnarly. This is getting the reinforced alloyer made. This is top end stuff where I'm making vanadium steel. Here I set up a separate grid. Coal generators that I can feed when I need them. They go through, they produce power at 120 volts, goes through an upgrade transformer with a 1 to 2 wrapping. Yes, you can step up the voltage much more sharply if you want. Electricity makes me nervous. Real world and in-game both. I am cautious with electricity. There are times when I have been shocked. I have had some incidents. There are reasons why I'm cautious with electricity. Yeah, we're gonna just do a nice simple 1 to 2 here. Too much blood in my caffeine stream. Had to fix that. At this point, I've gone to thick superconductive wire. Loaded up the insulation. I mean, let's just not fuck around here. This is a high voltage room. So we're bringing 240 volt over to this lithium battery box, which currently has 40 megajoules stored in it at 240 volt. Is capable of some pretty intense transfer, 86 kilowatts. That's going to another upgrade transformer, which is putting out 480 volts over to a carbine battery box. Now, the carbine battery box is a big pain in the patoot. It requires ancient debris to make carbine dust to make the batteries. And so making one of these is very expensive. Will require a lot of stuff. A lot of mining in the nether. Bleh. But it's storing 80 megajoules and able to move 480 volt. And it's sending it to an upgrade transformer. And so we're arriving over here at 960 volts to a reinforced alloyer that, again, let us show rather than tell. Producing vanadium steel and some metallic slag. Not much in animation here, just a few little poofs of smoke to let you know that the machine is running. But we get vanadium steel out of this, which is top-end material for a lot of for a few things. So yeah, there's that. And if that's not enough, and by golly, when is it ever enough? When is it ever enough? We saw some things here. Let's look at go back here and go to the home, because there's ours. There is nothing more permanent than a temporary solution. Somebody put that pole out in the middle of a river, and now they're having to do something incredibly unsafe just to be able to reach the damn wire. Electrodynamics is just one of the modules in the suite. It includes a lot. It's the foundational for this suite. It includes your ores. It has an explanation of metric prefixes if you're not used to them. Whole thing on electricity, fluids, gases, generators, all the machines available. The quarry. Oh, good grief, the quarry. The electrodynamics quarry is going to be familiar to anyone who has ever played the Buildcraft mod. Buildcraft was a great tech mod, a brilliant tech mod in the early days of Minecraft, and it had a lot of things that were worth carrying forward. The quarry is a little bit more complicated now. Takes inspiration from Buildcraft's quarry and expands on what it can do. You still lay out markers. You put down a seismic relay, you put down your quarry, you give it a coolant reservoir and a motor complex, and then you have to power it, and then you need to be able to take the output from it, and you will need a mining head, a drill head, which will last for this many blocks. The frames are automatically generated. There are some upgrades. You can put upgrades in it. You can put the logistical manager pulls inventory out of the quarry and drops it into an attached chest. Very useful thing. I mean, this is pretty massive. This thing will rip through just frantically. It's the Buildcraft quarry brought into the modern era, into how mods work nowadays and how we expect things to work, and it's also been expanded out into a multi-block construct. I said the electrodynamics mod didn't really get into multi-block, but it does in some cases. Other mods in the suite are listed here. Assembly line, which gives us conveyor belts. Blastcraft, which gives you reinforced. Hello, I'm on from the wrong account, but it's sort of on purpose. Hello, Willow. Are you doing bot testing again with Firebot? Blastcraft gives you reinforced versions of a lot of blocks, where instead of having to go mine obsidian, you can and just deal with it looking, kind of ominous and dark tower. You can get actual decent looking blocks and be somewhat decorative about it. Oh, and then we go to nuclear science, and nuclear science gets all sorts of interesting. Because again, the electrodynamics suite, and I'm going to be talking a lot about electrodynamics. I am actually working now on revising the guidebook you're looking at. Or at least the basic electrodynamics one. I'm not working on the one from nuclear science. But I am doing some revisions on it, and hopefully it'll be accepted. And if those revisions are accepted, That would be my first ever contribution to a mod. I should totally not watch this. It's tickling my modding receptors. Oh, good gods, yes. Electrodynamics has pulled me in very deeply. Radiation. Let's just talk about rads and what kind of dosage you're liable to be taking and the need for a hazmat suit and maybe reinforced hazmat suit and making radiation antidote. And then we got to talk about steam turbines and how we make fuel and then building a fission reactor. Because this just goes into all sorts of lovely stuff. That takes, I've got these 4 modules installed in this game world. Funny story, a friend of mine made a mod that introduces asbestos and asbestos poisoning to Minecraft. That friend wouldn't happen to be living in Germany and originally be from Ukraine, would she? Oh my god, I know her. I know her. She was yeah, Agatha. Oh my god, I know her. I think everyone knows Agatha. Agatha is the one who turned me on to the Origins mod and got me into modding Minecraft in the first place. I really have to give a shout out to Agatha. She is in some way responsible for what I am doing at this very moment. Oh my god. Friend of Agatha, it's gonna become a thing. Wow. Yeah, I was, oh lordy. Yeah, following that whole thing with her family having to flee Ukraine because of the invasion. That was a hell of a thing. One damn thing after another. So, not closely, but we've talked a few times. I worried so much about her and hers. Yeah, I lost touch with her when I moved from Wandering Shop to Weirder Earth. But the last I had heard from her, she was settled in Germany, had a job there, and was in a relationship. So, at least her life has gotten together a bit. Yeah, she was dating this person from Hamburg and was having to travel through Stuttgart to go see her and making Hans from Stuttgart jokes. Seemed to be acclimating to Germany pretty well. So yeah, nuclear science. Yeah, she was, she turned, yeah, she was the one who told me about the Origins mod, because I was grumping about, I wanted to play an aquatic character and was trying to figure out how to do it, and she was like, well, the Origins mod, just play and like, oh my god, the Origins mod reawakened my interest in Minecraft. I had pretty much exhausted vanilla Minecraft. And playing an aquatic character just was a whole new take on it. And, I've got a whole series of VODs about that, actually. If you go over to my YouTube, which you will see when we get to the end of the stream, I'll put up the URL for it. It's on my closing screen. Oh, I'll have to look into that. Yeah, I did a whole thing with vanilla Minecraft with just the Origins mod and an aquatic character. Learning to navigate underwater was a thing. Learning a few other things. When you are playing an aquatic character, mining straight down is actually a good idea. At worst, all you have to do is tap. If you cut through into an airspace and the water starts to drain, all you have to do is tap the space bar and get out of the suction. Big deal. If there's lava directly below you, it's not lava anymore because water just keeps pouring down onto it. Um, yeah, makes it changes how gameplay, how the game plays. It really seriously does. We've been sitting here looking at this for an awfully long time at these headings and so forth, and there all these wonderful things. Oh my God, there's a molten salt reactor, there is a fusion reactor, and there is a particle accelerator, none of which I have gotten anywhere close to. There is a quantum capacitor, which I could build. I mean, just all sorts of wild, strange technology here. Star Trek level shit. Let's go look at this. And to look at this... Oh, bother. I didn't mean to do that. We'll turn that off. I need to get my hazmat suit out. Let's get the hazmat suit out. And I'm also going to want the Geiger counter. And we'll put... We'll rearrange things a little bit here. Let's swap out my gear. This gets real important here. What I am now wearing is a reinforced hazmat suit that's been enchanted with unbreaking and mending. And is still taking a lot of damage from the radiation in the area I'm about to go into. And let's get our Geiger counter out and bounce over to nuclear 1. Being a very cautious individual when dealing with this sort of thing, I put my first nuclear reactor in an abandoned mine shaft well away from my base. I have seen these things explode before, and it gets really quite intense. Right now, it should be pretty quiet. We will get a bit of clickety-click, I think, from some of the machinery. But let's just start over here, because this is worth seeing. These are hydroelectric generators. They're a bit loud. Clickety-clackety-clank. One source block of water and a mill race, and I'm driving 4 generators with one source block of water. It is important, and it does not say this in the current version of the Electrodynamics guidebook. I have added it as one of my first edits, that the hydroelectric generator has to be placed with the water wheel extending into a lateral flow of water. Cannot be a vertical flow. If you use a mill race, you can power up to 4 generators from one source block by just following the flow. And then I just allow the water to flow down into the cave below, because why not? It's a living cave down there. It's not going to hurt anything to have water pouring down into it. Actually makes it a little more decorative. Using insulated gold wire here to pick up the power from the generators. I've used a pretty standard layout here, putting them both in parallel and in series in order to feed into a battery box storing 10 megajoules at 120 volts. Buffer, 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 and I screwed up here, and you can clearly see it from where I'm standing. There is a buffer before the transformer. There is no buffer after the transformer. I should have put a battery box after the transformer. By the time I realized I'd left it out, I'd already put in the whole goddamn radioactive assembly line and did not want to take any of that apart, let me tell you. We walk around the back here and kind of scoot in. Yeah, it's just it's living cave down there, so I just let the water just drop. You know, why not? The hopper there is to capture fish, which were generating in the water at one point. Yeah, oops. Post your failures, pawn your imposter. Upgrade transformer here is running a standard 1 to 2, so it's putting out 240 volts going out to the various equipment. I've got a creative power source stuck in here because I had a surge issue. We'll deal with that later. Have to get that out of there at some point. What's happening here is that I am feeding water into a chemical mixer loaded with sulfur trioxide. Now, the sulfur trioxide is manufactured over at the mansion, and it's a couple of steps process. Sulfur is an ore in electrodynamics, so mining sulfur is easy enough, and then I just process it with a couple of things, and I get sulfuric acid. Yay! The sulfuric acid gets piped over to this chemical mixer, which we can see the texturing in. Sulfuric acid, and it gets run across raw fluorite crystal. The aesthetic goes well with the CC Restitched mod. You have to look at that. And it's producing hydrofluoric acid. Really wicked, evil shit. Do not ever... Adds computers. Oh dear. I'm not sure. Oh lordy. Adding computers. Oh lordy. Hydrofluoric acid is evil shit. Do not ever fuck with hydrofluoric acid. It will kill you. Lewis scripting. Oh dear gods. I'm not sure I'm ready for Lewis scripting. I'm still working with radiation and stuff and messing around with shit that explodes. Okay, I got a chemical extractor here. It's fed water, and it's fed some, it's fed raw uraninite ore, which then sends down to here to produce, well, let me see, do I have any? Oh, I just have thoriumite. All right, hold on a second. Let me think for a second here, riffle through, and... Kind of raw ore, uranium, 64, is that it? That's it, there we go. Raw uraninite. Uraninite ore, Lua, is much scarier. Oh, I believe it. Uraninite ore is a rare ore found in deep levels. It is mildly radioactive. You don't want to carry it around too long. If I take this raw uraninite and should be able to just drop it here, and it starts chemical extraction process. We're going to make some nuclear fuel here. It's the raw uraninite and processes across, and we'll send stuff down to a nuclear boiler. Hydrofluoric acid going in to... Give it a second to drop in. Come on, where are you? Alright. Doesn't automatically... Right, I didn't automatically route it. This makes yellow cake. Yellow cake is basically powdered uranium ore. It's not shit you want to ever like carry in your pocket. Let's just leave it at that. We'll drop it into the nuclear boiler, and it gets processed with hydrofluoric acid at extraordinary temperatures and processed through really fast because I've got an advanced speed upgrade, and it's sent to the gas centrifuge as uranium hexafluoride, vicious evil stuff, which is then processed through into uranium-235, uranium-238, and fissile dust. I carry this over to here, and we have some U-238 and fissile dust and U-235, as well as some spent fuel rods. Let us look at the spent fuel rods and see what we can do with them. Spent fuel rod gets put in a fuel reprocessor with fissile dust and produces a polonium-210 chunk. We'll worry about mucking about with fuel reprocessors later. Let us instead craft some fuel rods here. We have the highly enriched. We have the enriched here, the highly enriched, and then we have the plutonium. And we're not going to muck about with plutonium. Let's just go with the standard enriched, shall we? And bring it up here, and yeah, it's going to grump at me because I don't have that. No, I don't have that in my regular inventory. I mean, why would I? That's using U-238, so we reach over here and we grab, I'm going to need 12 of them. I'm going to make 4 of them. 4 rods. Oop, there goes a fish. Or a bat. No, that was a bat. The radiation in here is screaming. Because I'm holding radioactive material right now. And so our poor bat there just got toasted. We're mucking about with fuel, with nuclear fuel here. We'll let the rest of that process. And I'm going to go over here, and it's still going to be screaming because I'm carrying fuel rods. Let's get rid of them. You know, look up here. This is our reactor. Let's go look at it from the top for a second before. Well, no, get rid of the fuel rods. Damn it. ADD. Come on, get rid of the damn fuel. Why nuclear fuel workers shouldn't have? Okay, we load in fuel rods, and the steam turbines kick on. Now, if I had, let's back away from that a minute here. There we go. Whew, down to something that's just a little chirpy, and down to like 30. Let's back away to here and get it down a bit further. Wow. Radiation was getting awfully intense there and eating the suit that I'm wearing. That's what's causing the damage, is the radiation is eroding the suit. It'll have to be repaired with lead plate at some point in the very near future. Yeah, Geiger counters are a thing here. We walk up here, we're down to something a little more reasonable. 140 rads per hour is not something you want to maintain, but yeah, you can tolerate it. And what's happening here is we're running steam turbines. The ones in the middle were tapped with a wrench to combine 9 of them into one big one. Theoretically, I could have done a couple of taps, but it's limited to a 5x5x5 containment vessel. The fission reactor doesn't work in anything larger. volts at 178 amps. We're running superconductive wire here to be able to do this into a carbine battery box, which right now is still charging up, but will hold 80 megajoules at some point. I really feel like this. I'm in a loud industrial area listening to you take us on a tour. It's electrodynamics has gone for realism in a lot of ways. They've kept it playable. There we go. That's down to almost negligible. 7.9 rads per hour. I think you get more from a dental x-ray. Electrodynamics and its associated stuff has gone for realism, but in a playable way. The whole thing with the wire resistance and the various okay, that's the electrodynamics glitching a little bit. Electrodynamics has a render thread issue where it suddenly starts writing lots of render thread messages to the log, and will occasionally, so you may see the game stutter a little. Heat level is actually looking very good. After last week, like I said at the beginning of the stream, I took my laptop out back and put an entire can of air through it, and it is not overheating at this point, behaving a little better. But yeah, we've gotten a lovely tour of an extremely radioactive area. We're much more reasonable right now because we are not carrying around pellets of uranium-238. The next thing to do down here is to put in the fuel reprocessor and produce polonium-210, which is just uglier and uglier. As we get into these isotopes, they just get more evil and more and more stuff you really should not be mucking about with in real life. Just really bloody fucking dangerous shit. But for in a game, it's a lot of fun. So yeah, I have a reactor running here, and it's just going to run until those fuel rods are expended. It's going to eventually burn down. Running at a temp of 1150 C, which is actually within the safe margins for this type of reactor. There are additional fuel rods, and actually let me bring this up and go to here and flip through for a second. There we go. The temperature you run the reactor at determines the voltage it produces. I'm running it hot enough to get 240 volts. It is possible to get 400. Oh, time for me to lurk while I get ready for stream. Yeah, thanks for reminding me, Willow. I need to remember to throw a raid to you in 15 minutes when I wrap up. Turbines produce more power the faster they spin, but it means that the voltage goes up, which means you have to watch out for your wiring and make sure that you don't burn your insulation off or cause, if you run too much voltage into a battery box or a machine, it just explodes. When I first brought this thing up, I had underestimated the temperature I was going to hit. And the battery box, I had put a standard battery box on it for capable of accepting 120. And when the temperature crested the critical point and the voltage kicked up to 240, the battery box exploded and took out that entire bridge I was standing on that had the battery box. The battery boxes and the transformer, yeah, that's the second time I've built that. The first one blew up. Let's see. Fuel rods. Here we go. Fuel rods. We can make enriched fuel rods with U-238, which gets us on up. The highly enriched fuel rod, which runs a little less time but gets us a hotter temperature. The plutonium fuel rod, which is a lower temp but runs for freaking ever. The hotter you run your reactor. Now, when you put 4 rods in, you know, it's a temperature limit of 1417. We're running it at 1450, so meltdown is a risk, but it's not really that much of a problem. Dang, yeah. Oh yeah, this thing gets deeper and deeper. I haven't put a control rod in on this reactor, which is something I probably should do. And then I need to make deuterium cells in order to process them into tritium, which I would need in order to get to the fusion reactor. But first, there's the molten salt reactor to build. So I'll be building a molten salt reactor and getting it up and running, and it's going to take yet another facility kind of like this one in order to run it. And then there is the fusion reactor, which is a massive multi-block construct. Remember I said electrodynamics was mostly single-block construction? Yeah, nuclear science is where the multi-blocks are, in a very large way. Look at the size of this bloody thing. Look at how many steam turbines I'm going to have to build. Oh my God. And then you got to have deuterium and tritium, and I mean, it actually gets you, and then the particle accelerator where it actually introduces math. This mod actually introduces math. You know? Which is a whole thing. Like, here we go. Here's your power equation, which is your current times your voltage. And it just, I mean, this mod gets really seriously into it. I've kind of fallen in love with it, and at this point I'm doing what I can to help it along. There's just so much you can do. We haven't even scratched the surface of it. There are more mods in the suite. We're still a little bit close. I need to stay down here until the fuel rods are done. You poke over here real quick and have a look. We're almost done here. I'm going to sit here. Yeah, we're going to sit here in the loud machinery and the higher radiation hazard, because we're looking in through the inspection port, which does not close, by the way. And I'm not going to replace the trap door. Just sod it. I'm going to hold here for a minute. Our temperature is at a nice safe 1150. Temperature goes up over 1400, we start running the risk of a meltdown. We're running at a nice safe 1150, which is a heck of a sentence, you know, thinking of 1100 C as a safe temperature. And we're going to see these fuel rods ticking over into spent fuel rods momentarily. Electrodynamics, the suite, includes nuclear science. It includes blast craft with all the reinforced plots that I haven't even looked at yet. Assembly line, which I haven't gotten into yet, where we can build big factories. It also includes ballistic craft, which introduces intercontinental missiles. Yeah, so at some point I'm going to be building a missile silo and launching a missile. That's going to be a whole thing. Alright, let's put our spent fuel rods over here in the chest with the extremely radioactive shit. And now that this is no longer running and is safe to walk away from, a lesson I have learned with tech mods, unless you have a chunk loader, and even if you have a chunk loader, shut down the reactor before you leave the space. Do not leave a reactor running. Reloading the chunks when you start up the world or you teleport over there can go awry. And in a previous world using the mechanism mod, I had a reactor down in a cave explode because of a chunk loading problem. And yeah, the whole cave, the cave was wildly irradiated, and I couldn't even get in there to see what I could salvage for a while. Don't leave reactors running. Just important safety tip: don't leave the reactor running. Turn the reactor off before you leave. No, there's the glitch showing up. We've been running this long enough that yeah, on my laptop, especially when I'm streaming, the render thread issue starts to glitch me up a bit here. So we are going to wrap up here. And I need to go over to the break screen. There we go. Thank you. And do see. This brings us up to the end of another Saturday morning. We have gone through rather quite a lot today. We've looked at some stuff in Create and some stuff in Energized Power and some stuff in the Electrodynamics suite. I'm going to be exploring the Electrodynamics suite much more heavily over the next week. I'm also going to be poking around in the Energized Power world and looking at Railcraft Reborn and getting a railway put together in that world that integrates with the Energized Power stuff. The idea of a coal mine was brought up on the stream. Um, I will be back tomorrow night, Sunday night, 8:30 p.m. UTC -6 with a much more chill stream. We will be playing Roots of Pacha, which is a farm sim in which a Neolithic clan discovers agriculture and learns how to domesticate animals. It is charming. It is adorable. It has deep queer content and deep relationships paths. The writing on it is just fantastic, and I really recommend folks join me tomorrow night, 8:30 p.m. Same bat channel. In the meantime, in about a minute or two, I'm going to throw a raid over to Willow, who is a member of the Truck Community Streamers. Our schedule is up at the top of your screen right now, schedule.truck.community. There's stuff going on with our crew every day of the week and at various hours throughout, all sorts of stuff happening. Check out our schedule. There's something for everybody. If you are interested in my previous VODs, my previous Minecraft, Roots of Pacha, Wandering Village, various other stuff I've done, I've also got a lot of videos that are not Twitch VODs, but just tours like we just took of the aquatic world I was speaking of and some other builds I've done. I've got a lot of stuff on YouTube. The URL is down there at the bottom of the screen. Please visit. View count makes me happy. Number go, number go up is not always a bad thing. And I'll be back next Saturday morning at 8 a.m. with more trains and tech in Minecraft as we continue this. Until then, safe journeys. Let's throw a raid. Raid. Let's see. Where is the button? Raid channel. And raiding Willow Mist start raid. Here we go.